In 1974, Elizabeth Ballard penned The Tale of Teddy, and here's how it goes. There's a story many years ago of an elementary school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Thompson. And as she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the very first day of school, she told the children a lie. Look, like most teachers, she looked at their students and said she loved them all the exact same. But that was impossible because there was in the front row a slumped little kid, and his name was Teddy. Miss Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children, and his clothes were always messy, and he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy could be very unpleasant at times. In fact, it got to the point where Miss Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen and making bold X's and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Miss Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until the last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's a bright child, and he's always ready to laugh. He does his work so neatly and he has such great manners. He's such a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy's an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he's troubled because his mother has a terminal illness and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been very hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him in so many other ways." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and sometimes he sleeps in class." By now, Miss Thompson realized the problem, and she was so ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought in her Christmas presents wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got from a grocery bag. Miss Thompson took pains to open it up in the middle of the others in front of their beautiful presents. Some of the children started to laugh, and when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume, she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume onto her wrist. Teddy stayed after school a little bit that day, just long enough to say, "Miss Thompson, today you smelled just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. And on that very day, she quit teaching reading and writing and arithmetic. And instead, she began to teach children. Miss Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind seemed to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class, and despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy, telling her that she was still his favorite teacher and the best teacher she had his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school, 2nd in his class, and she was still the best teacher he had ever had in his whole life. 4 years went by before she got another letter saying that the things that he had some tough times, but he stayed in school, he stuck it out. He would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. He assured Miss Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had in his whole life. Then 4 more years passed and yet another letter came. This time he exclaimed that he had gotten his bachelor's degree. He had decided to go a little bit further. The letter explained that she was still the best and favorite teacher he had ever had. But now his name was a little longer. The letter signed Theodore F. Stollard, MD. The story doesn't end there. You see, there was yet another letter later that spring. Teddy said that he had met this girl and they were going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple years ago, and he was wondering if Miss Thompson might agree to sit in the place of the wedding that's usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Miss Thompson did. And guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with several rhinestones missing. She made sure that she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Teddy whispered into Mrs. Thompson's ear, "Thank you, Miss Thompson, for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Miss Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back, she said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one that taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." Here's a lesson I want you to take with you today. You never can tell the type of impact that you can make on another's life by the actions you may or may not have taken. Consider this fact as you travel amongst the precious souls that you encounter throughout your day and throughout your life. What are you doing to make an impact on someone else's life?